talk to you about why, even though you promised that you would never ever say those things to your children your parents said to you, treat your children how your parents did. It happens. And it happens so regularly. And there's reasons for this. So you may have swore that you would never say to your children, oh, just eat it. Just eat that food. I've cooked that food. We're not made of money. Money doesn't grow on trees. There's children in Africa who are starving. There's children down the road who are starving. You've got to eat your dinner. I've spent ages cooking your dinner. Now, that's a quite personal one to me because I used to spend my evening meals thinking how to get out of them because I hated the tension around the table. My dad would come home from work, my mum would have cooked a meal. My dad didn't understand my mum's love language, that she needed to be appreciated and told that she'd made a lovely meal. He just was tired at the end of the day and sat there and grunted. The tension around the table was, you could cut it with a knife. It was horrible. So my first thing would be, I needed to go to the toilet, and I needed to go to the toilet every single time. And of course they got annoyed with me. And then obviously I'd mess about and my dinner would go cold. But that was okay because I didn't want to eat it anyway. I wasn't hungry. The atmosphere around the table was horrible. It just took my appetite. I always swore that I would never, ever make my children eat their food. But I do it. I've spent all day cooking. And I know you're going to be hungry and you shouldn't be eating the crisps and everything out of there. Why am I doing it? Because does it matter if he doesn't eat his dinner or she doesn't eat her dinner? If they're not hungry, they shouldn't have to eat. I had a very big problem. I can do it now. I can leave food on my plate. It took a long time, a really long time. Now, if I don't want to eat my food, I leave it. You know how freeing it feels to say that. If I don't want my food, I leave it. So why can't I let my children? I'm getting better. I can. If they don't want to eat their food, that's fine. I do have a rule that, if you're not going to eat that food, then you're not eating any more food before bed. Because one, if you were hungry, you'd have ate your dinner. And two, another one from my parents, however, it's not good to go to bed full stomach. So those are my rules, and I hope that they're better than they feel better about them than I did. And I hope that there is no tension, or they don't feel that there's tension around the table. It took me a journey to get to that stage because food's there, it needs to be eaten. There's starving people. If you're from Ireland, it was children in Africa. You were told about it all the time. And in England, people are starving. People are starving everywhere. However, it doesn't mean that I'm going to give you a complex over your food so that you eat it. If you eat it, you're hungry. If you don't eat it, you're not hungry. That's the way it goes. So I had real issues with food. Now, if you're a mum or even a dad and your children leave food, how many of you finish that food rather than just chucking it in the bin? Because food wasn't to be wasted. But do you know how freeing it is to grab that plate and chuck it in the bin? Not to feel that you have to eat that food because you're the sacrifice, you're the martyr. That food's going to go to waste. No, I'll stop it from going to waste. It's so freeing to be able to throw that food away. And my husband's really quite good at it. Throw it away. So those are a few things. Well, what about the ones, if you don't stop crying, I'm going to give you something to cry about. That's a real powerful one. And I can understand why my parents would have said that, because there's nothing worse than a screaming child. It goes through you. I've 3 children, and one of them regularly does this. And I couldn't understand why it would affect me so badly. So I dug deep on it because that's what I do. I'm a forensic healer. So forensic means digging deep. Why am I affected by this? So my training's in forensic healing, and I've now pulled all of my training through that and through Reiki and through theta healing and through soul realignment to do inner child work, because that is where I needed the most help, and I have found the most benefit with myself and with my clients. So I pulled it apart, and really deep down, it's how dare she behave like that? How dare she roll on the floor, kick her feet, kick anything that's in her way? Because if I'd have done it, I'd have got belted up the stairs. I would have been knocked up the stairs. Probably many of you would have been. Because you just wouldn't have done it. If someone said no to you, felt a bit peed off, you would just went away. No way you would have kept on and on. You might have done a few pleases. You knew as soon as they looked at you to run. No, she will keep going and going. And I had to get right to the bottom of it. And I was jealous that my daughter could act like that, because she could express how upset she was about. Because all through my childhood, I wasn't allowed to express. No was no. There was no talking about it. She got to roll on the floor, and why couldn't I roll on the floor? So I had to really look and see. Now, if she's rolling on the floor and it's upsetting me, then that's where I need to go and work with little Kathy so that she feels supported. So that's what I've done. She still rolls on the floor. Now I need to look and think, well, what's happening with her? She lost her granddad, her adored granddad, my dad, when she was 3. So she's got this huge gap because he and her were really, really close. So she's got a huge love gap, and she needs to be constantly reassured that she is loved. So as hard as it is, because I tell you, when there's a child screaming, all you want to do is close the door, and sometimes I do. I close the door and I run. I try and hide, but she follows me. I try and hide in my bedroom, she follows me. But you have to get out of that. And then that's another thing I need to look into my childhood. Why can't I accept that she needed love? So now we've done that. Look, I try and bring her as much love as she needs. And she doesn't want it at that time. So it's about catching it beforehand. So what are those things that your parents said to you that hurt you, that made you feel unheard, unlistened to, uncared about? You're saying them to your children because that's all you know. And even though you know that that's not what you want to do, you don't know how to do it any other way. But not only that, when you get wound up, your subconscious goes back to what it knows. So that's how you deal with it, because that's how you were dealt with. It's a really hard thing to unwind. And it takes looking and seeing why you feel that certain way. So I would say to you, look at why you're saying these things to your children. You know, why does it matter if they want to wear an umbrella, Wellingtons, and their best dress? Why in God's name does it matter? Well, I'll tell you, my mum would have had a fit. So I grew up thinking that it mattered what other people thought. And I'm so grateful I had a friend whose children were a bit older, and she used to let them dress however they wanted. And it sort of made me see that there was a different way. So now if my children want to go out in a Chewbacca suit or a princess dress, hey, what you want. As long as it's weather appropriate, meaning that we're going to go to the park, and if it's freezing, you must wear a jumper. And if it's really hot, then no, you can't go in your jumper and jeans. You need to wear shorts and t-shirt because you'll be too hot to play. But other than that, wear whatever you want. Why the hell would it matter what other people think? I love my children. My children love themselves. I don't care. If someone wants to look at my children and judge them, that's their problem. But it's so hard when that's what you're used to. So I would say, look at what it is you're saying to your children your young parents said to you as a child, and look at what it brings up, why it's so triggering to you, and start to break it down. Now, if you can't break it down, come and see me. We can help. We can work together. We can do a healing session and work out why. If you want to go into it further, there's a workshop I run. Healing Your Inner Child. Inner Child Healing and Reconnection Workshop. I'm going to put all of the links in the bottom. And that's another way that you can look at and you can see why you react to these certain ways. But this is the work to do now. This is how you break your generational chains and ensure that it doesn't go through your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren. We have the power now. We have the knowledge. We have all of the resources to know that how we experienced our childhood was wrong. And this is how you break those chains. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe, and I look forward to talking to you soon.